You know, a good way to fish when you get into thick mats, primarily for largemouth bass, but sometimes you get surprises of pike, even big pike. When you get into waters like this where there's scattered lily pads and thicker lily pads, using a topwater frog, and now, you know, frogs have really come a long way. It used to be that you could only get like a solid plastic frog. I'm holding up one of the new Trigger X frogs, and this particular one is a hollow one, so you can see I can push on it. Might even have, doesn't have much water in it. The unique thing about this hollow frog is that it's got a weight at the back and on the bottom, so that when it sits at rest, the head of the frog is up like a real frog, and I'm going to show you in just a moment. Also, instead of having plastic legs, it has living rubber, which looks a lot more tantalizing. The third thing is that it looks very lifelike. This is one with a white belly, and it has like a leopard frog color, very bright. And you can see that it's got two hooks that are parallel to the top of the lure. So you can go over pretty thick vegetation and it won't get stuck. But as soon as a bass grabs it in his mouth and collapses that, those two hooks are exposed. You can hook the fish. The key to landing fish and hooking them up using these frogs, whether they're solid or hollow core, is not to set the hook when you get the strike. You have to wait until you feel the fish on. And a lot of times I actually let the fish swim a little distance where I see my rod bending, then I set the hook. The fish won't want to drop this frog. It's not like hitting a spoon or a spinner that's hard, because it's all soft. So when it grabs it in its mouth, it really feels it. So I'm just going to drop it into the water just close to us so you can see how it sits. It actually sits like a real frog, and if you give it an action with your rod tip up, it actually comes up like a real frog and across any kind of cover.